go out, I think that can sometimes be a big challenge. So I'm going to provide you with a breathing awareness exercise. I know that it will send out the recording, and also we'll send out the slides with the recording so that you will have the breathing awareness exercise. So just briefly, like encouraging a person to lie on their back with their arms relaxed, take a few seconds to get comfortable. So start to concentrate on your breathing, really feeling that the breathing is part of this. Like, can you feel your breath coming in and out? There's really no right way to breathe. Just relax and breathe normally. And like, there are a few different breathing exercises that can be helpful, but you're just trying to still the mind and the body, and you're trying to help, even say words as the breath goes in and out, and concentrate on, your chest rising or falling, and just begin to be mindful of the environment. What do you sense? What can you taste? What can you smell? So you're really helping the mind to become a little bit more still. So, repeating that exercise can be helpful. Doing that in bed once the lights go out. Or the other exercise that I often recommend would be the body scan exercise, where it's similar, where you're just taking the body, lying comfortably, and imagine your mind leaving your head and traveling through your body and just going through all your little body parts, your foot, how does it feel? And just being mindful around that and going through the body in that way, and tensing and relaxing your limbs. Again, really trying to take the mind away from wandering. But if the thoughts come in, acknowledge them in a positive way and gently ease them back. Is all part of that exercise. And sometimes combining those two exercises can be helpful as a mechanism and a coping mechanism. Once in bed, I would definitely encourage that we focus on our breathing, on those body scan exercises. I would be cautious about listening to music once the lights go out, because sometimes the brain can be very sensitive to
No
what
YouTube.
is happening when they're going
Our video games.
No, ideally not the hour or so before bedtime. And then just to go back to that when they're laying in bed, and even when you're laying in bed, that you're constant, you're mindful of the exercise that we just talked about, but also that if you're listening to music or listening to a podcast as you're falling asleep, sometimes that can interrupt the overnight sleep, as the brain keeps looking for whatever was happening when it first went to sleep. So I'd always be a little bit cautious about that. And then, of course, if you're struggling with waking up, and there are a couple of different schools of thought on this. So one historically would always have been, get up and go and do something else. However, I'd be more inclined to not do that and just to avoid getting up and doing something else, because this often might train the body and the brain to wake up and go off and do something else. So a resting body is probably as good as a sleeping body in some ways. And so we're trying to use the bathroom without lights on. Rest if you cannot sleep, I really would suggest. Or you might return to your book or listen to some music just to help you get back to sleep. And I think the important thing is that we encourage not to focus on time or amounts of sleep, and just focus on being present and mindful on your breathing, even when the night waking occurs. So you're really just trying to initiate and not interrupt sleep as best as you possibly can. Some natural suggestions that might support sleep, rest and relaxation, some herbal teas, a magnesium spray, an Epsom salt bath, essential oils, like chamomile, lavender. You could have them on a diffuser, or candles, body lotion, all natural product rather than synthetic. Under the herbal tea, like a chamomile or a lavender tea. And again, if you have someone who has had lots of sinus issues or upper respiratory issues or asthma, then a salt air purifier can be also a very useful suggestion in the bedroom to help with the breathing. Oh, sorry, I've lost my train of thought for a moment. I suppose our big job is trying to support our teens in this. Okay, and I suppose it's difficult for everybody when sleep is challenging, and we can feel stressed about it, and then obviously we create a cycle of tension between us. I guess opening ourselves up to listening, to open communication, and just really helping them find their way and prioritizing their sleep, and for us to create that context as best as you possibly can. I know and appreciate how hard it is in any household with the huge competitions that that exist, of needs that exist within all busy households. This is coupled with social, study, extracurricular demands, and understanding for the teenager that a perfect storm is erupting within, where their sleep is changing. And a lot of them will find it difficult from a biological point of view to get to sleep. And that's why just prioritizing just even the wake time, the exposure to bright and natural light, and the reduction of activity in the evening time, and providing those segues into sleep can be helped. It's a collaboration, it's attunement, it's problem solving, resolving together. And I think also making each, one step at a time, like slowly, because there are so many force factors that are impacting them and their sleep and how they're experiencing everything. So go gently and compassionately with each other as well. I think that's really important to mention. Now, I'm sure that as I've been speaking, there are questions that have gone into the chat. So maybe Orla or Emmet, you'll give me the questions and we'll try and work through some real life issues that are happening for parents right now.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions here, Lucy. Some of them may have been answered, but I'll just go through them to make sure. You were mentioning about the caffeine and that at bedtime. Somebody's asking, should tea be avoided too? I know you mentioned chamomile and other that, but a
Yeah,
regular
like I
tea.
suppose anything with caffeine, the problem with it is that it takes time for the brain to clean the toxins that we've consumed. And whether it's coffee or whether it's tea, it takes about 3 to 7 hours for that cleanse to occur. So yes, you'll probably have heard lots of different experts suggesting that the times differ. So you'll hear some people say no coffee or tea after 11 a.m. and some will say as late as 2 or 2:30. Tend myself to work off the kind of 2:30 mark, but again, appreciating everybody's own sensitivity. And lots of times people are, drinking caffeine and will say it doesn't affect their sleep. But actually what it can affect is the quality of your sleep. And that's something that we haven't touched on tonight. When we talk about amount of sleep, we're always interested in both the quality and the quantity of sleep. So quantity of sleep obviously is the amount of sleep, but quality of sleep is impacted by even, playing computer games close to sleep time. It stimulates the waking part of the brain, and of course you could go to sleep relatively easily, but you might not go into a deep restoring sleep. So we are interested in the deep restoring sleep that helps then curate those emotional and neuro, developmental brain maturation dynamics that are occurring for our young person.
Great. Thanks very much, Lucy. Another question again, you mentioned it just after it was posed, but just to clarify, is television as bad as the devices?
No, and that's the point. So I did
Yeah.
include it saying, look, if you're looking at screens and we're trying to find in betweens, I'm super realistic as both a practitioner and a parent, okay? Television we consider to be passive. Does that make any sense to you? Now, again, there are suggestions that even the TV would need to be off the hour before bedtime. But I feel actually sometimes watching the TV, watching an episode with your child, or letting them turn off the gadgets and the computer games. The computer game is interactive. That's doing your brain is in high alert as a result. It's stimulating. So what we're really looking for here, and I'm sure you can hear it, is we're looking for things to slow down, to calm down, so that we can begin to initiate our body and our brain to get to sleep. Like modern life has hugely impact how we experience our sleep. So I mentioned there even the dim lighting. So let's say tonight here in my office, I've got a big light on, as I call it, a big light. But really we don't want big lights on because the brain sees the big light as the sun. And then it's confused because it's thinking, what is the sun doing when we're supposed to be getting ready for sleep? So dim and low lighting are helpful because they help entrain the body and the circadian rhythm in line with all the other little changes that you make to then help initiate the process and the ease with which we get to sleep.
Great. And I think there was a question posed around somebody asking about YouTube and that, and there's a question in the box. What do you think about, I suppose, headspace sleep casts and wind down meditations?
Yeah, like I'd be a big advocate of anything that is supporting us to relax further, if that makes any sense to you. And again, it can often take time to figure out what feels right, what is helpful and what isn't to that particular person. But I think those something that you listen to, a podcast, an audiobook, these are all really good in-betweens other than the laptop, the gaming device and the phone, because it's those gadgets that have the lighting that are stimulating the waking part of the brain and sending the wrong messaging. And look, meditation, listening to it, practicing it, breathing are all designed to help slow us down. And that's what we're trying to do to help the onset of sleep.